What is going on, guys? It's the Budget Basehead. Welcome back to the channel. Right now, I'm out here with the Impala, and what I want to speak to you guys about today is proper wiring of your systems. Okay? So when you're talking about proper wiring of your systems, you mainly got two different categories. You have wire selection, and you have wiring application. First thing we're going to talk about is wire selection. Wire selection actually have two different categories, okay? Three different categories. You have wire material, you have wire size, then you have wire length. So what do I mean by that? When you're talking about wire selection or wire material, you have mainly three different types of material that people tend to go to when choosing wiring for their car. You have aluminum, you have copper, and you have copper cladded aluminum. So what is all those metals and what does that mean? Okay, so for one, just know that each of these wires actually have different levels of purity, but we're not going to get off into that. Just know that copper is pure copper, solid copper is the best application for car audio. If you want to know what CCA is, or copper clad aluminum, for all the guys who don't know what that is, it's simply a strand of aluminum with a copper coating on it. Okay, so I say that a copper, to me, OFC copper, oxygen-free copper, OFC, is the best application for car audio. But does that mean that there isn't a use case scenario for CCA wire? No, that does not mean that. It's meaning that by a rule of thumb, most people would tell you that OFC has a better thermal rating, a much better thermal rating than aluminum, whether it is pure aluminum or copper cladded aluminum. Stay away from it if you can. But if you can and you're on a budget, just use an oversized gauge of it and you'll be much better off. Okay, so we talked about wire material. Now what we're going to be talking about is wire sizes. You can't really talk about wire sizes without actually talking about wire length. So why is that? Because those two are paired. You can go and get any graph off of the internet. Well, I'm not going to say any graph, but you can go get multiple graphs off the internet that'll tell you or show you the proper gauge of wire to run to suit your system. So what do I mean by that? Say for instance, if you have a 1,000-watt system and you need a 15-foot run of that, 1,000-watt system and you're needing a 15-foot run of wire is not going to call for the same gauge of wire. Say, for instance, if you had a 25-foot run that you need for a 1,000-watt system, you're probably going to need a bigger run for that 20,000-watt system. For that 25-foot system. And how do I know that? Because my system actually called for nearly 30 runs, a nearly 30-foot run of actually one-eye or zero gauge. I'm going to say zero gauge wiring. As you guys can see back here, you have the second battery here, and I'm run from the front all the way back here because these Impalas are pretty long. And kind of like this, to give you guys an example, this is, I can't even get this whole thing in the frame. On average, the Impalas are almost the same length of some SUVs or crossover these days. To kind of give an example, that's a Jeep sitting there, Cherokee. And this is the Impala here. The Impala is actually longer than that Jeep. So to run a wire from here and snake it throughout your entire car, back to the trunk, and then connect second batteries, you're going to need additional batteries. You're going to need a whole lot of wire to do that. In my case, I needed over 30 foot. Okay. I had initially I had only single runs of 4 gauge wires is what I had initially. But I quickly found out, because that's what actually comes stock. This is my stock negative terminal, and I left it on here. But I decided to do the big 3 upgrade, which eventually turned into the big 4 upgrade, which is why I have these 3 additional wires coming off here. So I upgraded the lead that goes to my alternator. I upgraded 3 different ground points. That's 4 different upgrades that I did to my wiring system. So you're going to need that. Okay, so that covers wire selection, meaning that you have to go with the proper material. You have to go with the proper gauge or size of wire. And you also have to go with the proper length of wire. Now we're talking about application, right? Which is what I just touched on right here. So the main 3 things that you're going to have to upgrade underneath the hood in terms of wiring is going to be, like I mentioned earlier, your alternator wire, because that's what supplies power throughout your whole system, your negative terminal on your battery, and your chassis ground. But I took it a step forward, a step further by actually upgrading the ground on my alternator as well, because all the electrical system is pretty much coming from your alternator. All of it is highly dependent on your alternator. So you may want to take that extra precautionary step and upgrade the ground wire to your alternator as well. Now, I know some people are probably like, what do you mean a ground wire to the alternator? Just know that the chassis of the alternator is actually grounded to the engine block. So you upgrade your chassis ground and your engine ground. And that'll be your big 4 upgrade instead of just being a big 3 upgrade. And I wanted to try to get in here to show you guys, this is actually going to the alternator here. Don't know if you guys can see that or not, but that's the alternator right here on top. This thing that my finger is covering. And as you guys can see, you see 2 dual runs, one brown, one black, and one red. That's because I have 2 runs going to that alternator, one for ground and one for power. So I don't want to make this one here no longer than it has to be. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this guy up. If you guys have any more questions about it, just leave it in the comment sections below, and I will be getting back to you guys, because we did not cover a few things in here, like jacket material for your wiring. We did not even cover fusing as well for your system. So depending on how much amperage you got going through your system, you're going to want to upgrade your fusing as well. Okay, but that's a quick piece from your boy D. I'm gonna let y'all get back to it. Until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe, leave comments in the sections below, and until next time, it's your boy D, and I'm out.